As a way of introduction, I've been around the Protocol Labs ecosystem for the last 5 or so years, and have been focused on privacy research from that side. A couple of weeks ago, between Protocol Labs and Web3 Privacy Now, we pulled a bunch of people to Berlin for this event called Cypherpunk Retreat. And the basic premise here is that we live in an exciting time where data analytics capabilities are accelerating very quickly. And we need to look at what privacy technologies can also be accelerating at the same time so that we don't end up in a world where that falls behind. And sort of the thought here is there's a bunch of things that live somewhere in academia. We have a bunch of primitives. We have the capabilities to do things pretty well. But the reality is that a lot of how we see apps and systems and the web and the world around us doesn't use those yet. And so what are the missing pieces to be getting things from understanding how to do them into practice faster? So within that overarching thing, the basic conversations, I guess, had 3 prongs that things ended up categorized under. One was secure communications. So how do you have a private conversation with someone else, or send messages and so forth? And so there's a wide range that you would put within that, but generally we have, again, a pipeline that you can think of from things that are not used very much, but do a pretty good job with things like metadata privacy, up to, okay, how do we at least get end-to-end encryption more prevalent in the WhatsApps and the Facebook messengers and the things that the bulk of the world is using, right? So you've got a pipeline there where you've got things that are well along adoption for at least some level of encryption, and then you've got more and more things you would want to do in unlinking and increasing privacy. A second one is decentralized identity. So thinking about how do we continue to own our identity of who we are, and what is the space there where we think about identity beyond simply communication. You've got an address, but that address as something that you control. How do you properly blind it? How do you have interoperability where your concept of an identity can, when you need to, be proved in different ways? How do you do things like zero knowledge proving of age and so forth? And is that something that ends up rolling up to state provided IDs, or are there other techniques that you can also have? And how do you not close doors before you need to? So how do you have ways to extend and support interop in that context? And the third one is around trusted computing, this concept of attestation or an integrity of the computing that we're doing. Right now, a lot of what's practical there ends up looking like trusted hardware, where you're getting a vendor attestation or a signature over computation that this is a memory image that's running or so forth. But you've got a set of interfaces there that largely can extend to things like homomorphic encryption or other cryptographic techniques, where what you end up trusting is math rather than a hardware vendor like NVIDIA. So there's at least a bright potential future, if not a bright current time. But increasing costs of attack and increasing integrity in that case ends up being useful. So that was the premise. We had a bunch of interesting things come out of it. I'll mention a couple, and then we've got a couple more talks after me that will go further into this. There was a bunch of conversation around how you make anonymous publishing easier. Is there some system beyond just Tor that has sort of a publishing web server plus Tor Onion service plus orchestration? How do you end up getting content more easily out there? There's a good conversation around how do you make private L2 stablecoins that's continuing to develop. So what does it look like to have private environments where people can do that sort of financial transactions more available and easy? And then we had a few that we've provided some funding to. The 3 so far that have come out of that, one is Germ, which is in the Blue Sky App Proto environment, is working on a decentralized MLS setup. So how do you get in a peer-to-peer environment of messaging, anonymous MLSy things without having a centralized server. A second one, Black Sky, also coming out of an app proto-like things, is looking at integrating Cashew, which is a Chaumian Cash descendant, but a cryptocurrency thing for how do you do payments in that environment. And then we have a project that is working on attested TLS. So if you've got a certified or attested environment, a computing environment, and you have a standard TLS connection on the network, end up with the server cert being able for the remote client to verify that it is talking to that attested environment. So can you make that process of talking to an attested remote environment work within the standard TLS protocols? So we've got a bunch of fun things coming out of it. I think this is starting to hopefully build some momentum as we move towards Buenos Aires next month. There's definitely a bunch of exciting privacy things coming up in that context as well. But thank you all for your interest in attending, and I will hand it on to Cade for the next talk.